Let's take you to the union buildings now in Pretoria, where we understand President Cyril Ramaphosa, as well as his Austrian counterpart, are about to brief the media. Let's listen in.
South Africa and the Government of the Republic of Austria on cooperation in the field of technical vocation, education and training through work-based learning will be signed by the Honourable Ministers. Thank you very much. You may exchange.
Well done.
The Honourable Minister and Deputy Minister will also sign the Memorandum of Understanding between the Government of the Republic of South Africa and the Government of the Republic of Austria on cooperation on consular affairs. Please have a seat, Honourable Ministers. Thank you very much, Honourable Ministers. You may return to your seats. We have come to the end of the signing ceremony. I would like to thank His Excellency President Ramaphosa and His Excellency President van der Bellen for presiding over this ceremony. And with the permission of Your Excellencies, I now hand over to Mr. Magwenya to facilitate the media briefing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Your Excellencies, Ministers present, officials, Directors Generals, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we will now commence with our media briefing. President Ramaphosa will kick us off, followed by President van der Bellen. Then we'll take 2 questions from each side, from Austria, 2 questions from the South African media contingent. Mr. President, over to you, sir.
Can you close that door? It's cold. Yeah, just hold the door. Thank you. There's a cold hurricane coming from that side. Sorry about that. See, we South Africans are not accustomed to cold breezes like you are. You grew up on the mountains. Your Excellency President Alexander van der Bellen, ministers on both sides, and deputy ministers and ambassadors, and senior officials of our 2 governments, and all of you members of the media. It's a real joy to see you all here. As you are all aware, Your Excellency, South Africa is today mourning the passing of our former Deputy President, David Mabuza, who was my Deputy President in the 5th administration, the 6th administration rather. He served as the Deputy President of the Republic from 2018 to 2023, and before that as the Premier of one of our provinces, Mpumalanga. It is appropriate that we pay tribute to him on this occasion, both for his contribution in many, many ways to the development of our democracy, and to the quest for peace and stability also on the African continent. He was deeply committed to the cause of the people of South Africa and to building bonds of friendship and cooperation with peoples from other countries around the world. I think it is appropriate, as this is the first formal official occasion that we have, that we should observe a moment of silence and his memory. Could we stand up just for a minute to observe a moment of silence? Thank you. Your Excellency, President, it's an honor to have you here, and I welcome you to South Africa. This is the first time that an Austrian head of state has visited democratic South Africa. In our official talks, we took the opportunity to thank the people of Austria for their support during our struggle for democracy. We believe that this solidarity that they pledged to the people of South Africa as they struggled against the evil system of apartheid has laid a firm basis for our bilateral cooperation. Your visit today marks a new chapter for the relations between Austria and South Africa as we seek to deepen investment and trade between our two countries. South Africa is Austria's largest trading partner on the African continent and accounts for almost a third of Austria's total exports to the African continent. More than a quarter of all African imports to Austria are from South Africa. We have acknowledged the presence of more than 70 Austrian companies with subsidiaries and agencies in South Africa. And later today, you and I will be participating in a high-level business forum that will explore numerous ways and avenues for deepening cooperation and bilateral investments and trade between our two countries. South Africa welcomes the Republic of Austria's ongoing commitment to our country's development and to our efforts to drive inclusive growth as well as job creation. Today, we have just witnessed the signing of the two memoranda of understanding. The first, as we heard, is on cooperation in consular affairs, and the second on technical vocational education and work-based training. Work-based training, an area that your country has reached high levels of excellence in, which South Africa would like to learn from with regard to how you've been able to produce the skills that are needed for your own economy. You and I discussed the impact of geopolitical events around the world. We affirmed the importance of the multilateral system as we strive to realize a world free from war and conflict. We share the belief that the institutions of global governance, and particularly the United Nations, must be reformed to meet the challenges of the realities of the world that we live in today. We took this opportunity to discuss the theme we have chosen for South Africa's G20 presidency, which is solidarity, equality, and sustainability. And in our discussions, I found that this too has great resonance with what Australia stands for. It envisages a world order in which every person, every community, and every country has equal opportunity to make progress on meeting their national objectives and aspirations. From our discussions today, it is clear that this is an aspiration that Austria and South Africa share. Austria is a valued partner of South Africa. This state visit, in our view, will further deepen and solidify our long-standing cooperation and strengthen the ties that exist between our two peoples. So we therefore welcome you, and for the 3 days that you will be here, we hope that you will be able to enjoy what the best country in the world has to offer, which is South Africa. And so therefore, we welcome you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sehr geehrter Herr Präsident Ramaphosa, Excellencies, meine Damen und Herren,
Ladies and gentlemen,
zunächst einmal
first of all, should I wait for a second?
It's okay. Yeah, it's on now.
Zunächst einmal, sehr geehrter
First of all,
Präsident,
Honourable President, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the invitation to Pretoria. I'm very happy to be here. And I am very sorry to have heard of the passing of your former Vice President. This is the first state visit by an Austrian federal president in South Africa and expresses the big interest that our two countries have regarding each other. South Africa is not only an economic powerhouse in Africa, it is not only a geopolitical important player in Africa and worldwide. It is not only an important role player in the multilateral area, also in the area of disarmament and non-proliferation. But South Africa is also an example through its non-violent, inclusive transition to democracy, to the so-called rainbow nation, which is a beautiful expression. South Africa is today a role model, not only in Africa, for peace and stability. There may be 8,000 kilometers between our two countries, but what binds us together is much stronger. I would just like to mention a few examples. Economy and trade. President Ramaphosa already mentioned a couple of figures. And we are accompanied by a business delegation from Austria, and this afternoon we will be opening our joint business forum. And I hope the numerous contacts that will be made there can then contribute to make South Africa to the most important trade partner on the African continent. It was mentioned already that 1/3 of all Austrian exports to Africa come to South Africa, and 1/4 of our imports from Africa come from South Africa. And just as important, if not more important, is that Austria is one of the top investors in South Africa. It's among the top 5 investors of the European Union, with an investment volume of about 700 million euros right now. And you mentioned, Honourable Presidents, that over 70 Austrian companies are currently in South Africa, and they create approximately 7,200 jobs here in South Africa. We experienced that yesterday when we visited the company Alpla, which is an Austrian company, a family-owned business from Vorarlberg, and now it is a global company with subsidiaries in virtually all important countries of this globe. And the Alpla investment here is the biggest single investment of an Austrian company in the whole of Africa. I'm not quite sure, but in sub-Saharan Africa, definitely.
und betreibt ja auch die mittlerweile
And it is
die erste Bottle-to-Bottle Recycling.
Has the first bottle-to-bottle recycling plant in Africa. I mention this because these projects don't only create direct jobs, but within the sphere of vocational training, they are important. And ALPLA also trains young people, apprentices, that will be the skilled workforce of the next generation that will be creating the green transition. And this is an example of the cyclic economy. So economic interests are paired with ecological interests. We see that Austria and South Africa are active partners that are both interested in creating and shaping a good future, and the political relations of our two countries I would describe as excellent, not only but because South Africa is chairing the G20 this year, and this just shows how important the stature of South Africa is. We briefly spoke about the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine, and the Austrian position in this regard is well known, and I don't think I need to add that through our geographical situation and the historical situation, our two countries represent different perspectives in this regard. And the nervousness that is caused by this war of aggression is greater in Europe than in South Africa. Austria and South Africa have got historical ties as well. In 1977, as a result of the uprising in Soweto, the anti-apartheid movement in Austria was founded that worked actively until 1993 against the apartheid regime that infringed upon.
All right, live visuals there from the Union Buildings in Tshwane, where President Cyril Ramaphosa is hosting his Austrian counterpart, that's President Alexander van der Bellen, in efforts to strengthen bilateral ties. We observed the signing ceremony of several memorandums of understanding. President Cyril Ramaphosa also using the opportunity to observe a moment of silence following the passing of former Deputy President David Dabete Mabuza.